Hear her address right now. Let's listen in as she starts the State of the State for 2013.
Members and distinguished guests, it is my privilege and pleasure to introduce the Chief Executive of the greatest state of the greatest country, our Governor, Governor Mary Fallin.
Thank you. Lieutenant Governor Lamb, statewide elected officials, Speaker Shannon, President Pro Tem Bingman, members of the court, and our distinguished senators and representatives, my cabinet secretaries, and also our tribal leaders who have joined us here today, our distinguished guests, and our citizens of the state of Oklahoma. It's a great honor and privilege to be here for my third consecutive year to deliver a welcome and a powerful message, and that is the state of the state is strong and it's getting stronger every day. There are many reasons for our strength and our continued success. And first among these are our people of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is strong because we build strong families. And I'd like to recognize my family, starting with Oklahoma's first gentleman, my husband, Wade Christensen. We are joined today by two of our 6 children, Christina Fallin and Adam Christensen. Oklahoma is strong because of our strong work ethic, our small business owners, our innovators in the fields of oil and gas production, and farming and ranching, and bioscience and medicine, and aerospace and aviation. Strong because of our hard-working public servants, our state employees, our state troopers, our correctional officers, our firemen, our social workers, our veterans, and our active duty military officers. And of course, Oklahoma is strong because of our shared history and our culture, a pioneer culture, and a history that stretches back even further than our statehood, beginning with the Native Americans who originally settled the Oklahoma Territory. Today, we are joined by our various tribal leaders, and I appreciate you joining us here today in your presence, as well as your partnership, as we continue to work together, both state and tribal governments, on a shared heritage to create an even better future for the state of Oklahoma. Thank you for coming today. And my thanks also goes out to our state legislators for your commitment to the state of Oklahoma, your public service, and also to good policy. I look forward to working with President Pro Tem Bingman and Minority Leader Sean Burridge, as well as our representatives here today, led by Speaker T.W. Shannon and our Minority Leader Scott Inman. Now, speaking of Speaker Shannon, where are you, Speaker? There you are. Our Speaker is a very capable and innovative lawmaker. He's a consensus builder, and today he plays a very historic role as the first African-American Chickasaw Speaker of the House of Representatives. Speaker Shannon, my congratulations goes out to you for breaking new ground in this body. Well, it's been an honor to work with all of our legislators for the last 2 years. I've asked you to work with me to pursue reforms that will produce more and better jobs, create a stronger economy, and produce a more efficient, effective, and smaller government. And you have delivered, and the results have been extraordinary. Since January of 2011, we've created over 62,400 new net jobs, giving us the 4th highest growth rate in the nation. Unemployment in the state of Oklahoma has been reduced by 30%. From a high of 7% at the end of 2010 to an enviable 5.1% today, one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation. And our median family household income has risen from 2011 by $4,000, placing Oklahoma #1 in the country in per capita income growth for a family. We have restored fiscal responsibility to state government. In January of 2011, we had $2.03 in our rainy day savings account. Today, we are approaching a record high of over $600 million. Now, we have achieved those results by prioritizing our spending, promoting pro-business policy, and lowering taxes. These are the kind of successes we should be very proud of, and they happened because we all worked together for a common goal. Oklahoma state government has helped the economy to flourish, setting the stage for job creation, personal income growth that has finally restored the state's economy to 2008 pre-recession job levels. That's good. A large part of our success can be attributable to Oklahoma keeping a laser-like focus on reform efforts, removing barriers to economic growth, barriers like frivolous lawsuits, a problem we tackled through landmark legal reform, and now malpractice lawsuits are at a 10-year low for our state. Barriers to growth also include our expensive workers' compensation system. For decades, our out-of-control workers' compensation costs have burdened those doing business in the state of Oklahoma. While recent reforms have effectively worked to reduce the total cost of claims and their costs, more needs to be done. So I'm committed to working with the House and the Senate to pursue additional reforms to lower the costs for businesses in our state and to protect our injured workers. Just as our legislators have remained committed to removing barriers to economic growth, they've also been committed to delivering effective tools for economic growth and job creation. My thanks go to our legislators for creating and funding the Quick Action Closing Fund. We've also worked to provide our children with the tools they need to succeed in today's global economy through landmark education reform and performance accountability measures. Together, we've improved our transportation infrastructure by supporting the Oklahoma Department of Transportation's 8-year plan, as well as an initiative to repair all of our state's structurally deficient bridges. Now, because of that support, we are quickly seeing very impressive results. Structurally deficient bridges have been reduced by 20% since January of 2011. Congratulations, Secretary Ridley. All of these are great accomplishments and important breakthroughs for the state of Oklahoma. With a low unemployment rate and a healthy savings account, the question is, what's next? What do we do now? Well, the answer to that is actually pretty simple. Our job is to keep the pedal to the metal, to accelerate our state's growth, and to continue to build a stronger and better Oklahoma. Oklahomans have worked hard. They've made sacrifices to get to where we are today, and we sure don't want to go backwards. So what would take us backwards as a state? Well, pretty simple answer. Just look at Washington. Partisan gridlock, political posturing takes us backwards. Trampling our Constitution and jeopardizing our freedoms, like our right to be able to keep and bear arms, would take us backwards. Tax increases and reckless spending would take us backwards. Those are Washington ways that weigh this country down, that propel us towards fiscal cliffs, recessions, depressions, and give us more of the same. But the Oklahoma way is different. We know the best place for taxpayer dollars is in the pocketbooks and in the bank accounts of Oklahomans, not in funding bigger government and more red tape and bureaucracy. Now, former GE CEO Jack Welch once said, "Government is the support for the engine of the economy. It is not the engine itself." To support our engine for growth, the private sector, I've asked the Oklahoma Department of Commerce to develop a state plan to take our economy to the next level. And I want to focus our state on industries that have the greatest potential for wealth generation and job creation. Data shows that in Oklahoma, aerospace and defense, energy, agriculture, biosciences, information, financial services, transportation, and distribution offer the greatest potential to be able to raise our income levels and to create better jobs. Well, there's an old saying that says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Well, we do know where we're going, and we do have a roadmap to get us to long-term economic success and a development strategy. The department has made this report available for all of you at www.okcommerce.gov. It is designed to be a policy guide to answer questions like, which tax credits are the most effective in creating jobs? Which industries should we focus our efforts as we work to modernize, update, and reduce regulation? And most importantly, what can we do that will best attract the jobs for Oklahoma in our future? Well, the answer in our study is pretty simple. It's by strengthening our workforce. And one way to do that is by emphasizing STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, at all levels of public education. STEM jobs are now growing at a rate that is 3 times faster than non-STEM jobs, making the emphasis on technical skills more important than ever. It is critical to raise Oklahoma's academic performance and develop a highly skilled workforce, and that means improving our schools. Now, over the last 2 years, we've taken some enormous steps to improve education outcomes, support quality teachers, and increase accountability by doing things like implementing exit exams to ensure that a high school diploma means a student is, as Superintendent Barisi would say, college, career, and citizen ready. It also included developing an A through F grading system for public schools so that parents and their teachers and their administrators and students can effectively and easily be able to measure the quality of the education they are receiving. And we've worked hard to ensure that every third grader can read at grade-appropriate level before they have moved on to the fourth grade, guaranteeing that they have the reading skills to be able to obtain a higher level of learning rather than falling further and further behind. All children in Oklahoma deserve a world-class education, no matter what their zip code is. And we believe that great schools make for great students, which makes for great communities, which makes for a stronger state. On the college and career tech level, Oklahoma is a national leader for a program called Complete College America. The goal of that program is to increase the number of college and certificate degrees awarded and to be able to keep pace with the current market demands. And current market demands show that 70% of the jobs created in the future are going to require either some type of college education or a career technology certificate. Under the leader of Chancellor Johnson, we are well on our way. Chancellor, I appreciate all your work. Last year, we were able to award almost 2,000 more certificates and degrees than the previous year, beating our goal for the first year of our implementation. So thank you, Chancellor. I appreciate you and all of our college presidents and our career technology centers. Studies show that 80% of the jobs in the future will require a high school degree or more. Further, there is a direct correlation between a state's per capita income and the education level of its citizens. Our reforms and our degree and certificate completion initiatives will ensure that we have the skill sets needed to be able to retain and create good jobs in our state. All of these education and workforce initiatives are major, groundbreaking steps to help move Oklahoma forward. So I want to thank our lawmakers here today of both parties for your support for education reform and for higher academic standards in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you for that. Now, it is important this year and in years moving forward that we continue our commitment to success of these reforms. We cannot afford to water down education reforms. We must also make good on our financial commitments, which is why my budget proposes $13.5 million increase for education to fund the recently enacted reforms, as well as an additional $8.5 million supplemental funding request to pay for our teachers' health care benefits. Thank you, guys. And just as I believe in good schools, that good schools will help lay a foundation for a long-term economic growth and job creation, we're going to continue to work on other things that will help grow Oklahoma's economy. And the next thing is that we have to have the right tax climate in our state. So I'm asking you to work with me again to lower the tax burden on our fellow Oklahomans. Lower taxes means economic growth and more job creation. Let's let individuals and families keep more of their hard-earned money in their pocketbooks and spend it on things they need. I'm asking you to lower the top income tax rate, which kicks in at the first $8,700 of income made by every Oklahoman, to lower it from 5.25% to 5%. This proposal gives us the flexibility we need to ensure that we are reducing taxes responsibly without starving government. And I will tell you, this is not the last tax cut you will see from my administration. I am serious about lowering taxes, and I will work to get our taxes even lower and to help us be more competitive as a state so that our neighbors to the north and to the south who have lower taxes than us won't be taking jobs from the state of Oklahoma. Responsibly and cautiously reducing taxes, fixing barriers to job growth and innovation, improving our schools will lay a groundwork for sustained prosperity in Oklahoma. Laying a foundation for job growth and a stronger economy is part of what I define as success for my administration and certainly for this legislature. Next, taxpayers deserve a responsible, efficient, and effective state government. In the last 2 years, we've made significant steps in that direction. First, we took action by working on our unfunded liability of our pension systems. We went from having a $16 billion unfunded liability down to $10 billion, and that's moving it in the right direction. But unfortunately, since these reforms, our unfunded liability has once again been creeping up, and now it's back up to $11 billion. Our pensions represent the debt that is the biggest problem that our state faces, and it's a problem that we must resolve. Responsible government means taking this problem head on and delivering a sustainable and modern pension system for today's workforce. Our legislators have had many good ideas on pension reform, and I appreciate that. And Treasurer Ken Miller has also been working on ways to restore fiscal solvency to our pension systems. We must make a point of working together to pursue long-term fiscal steps to ensure that we can keep the promises we've made to our state employees and to the structural balance of our state pension systems. Responsible government also goes hand in hand with responsible budgeting, which is why in the budget that I'm proposing today, you won't find any one-time reserves used or any gimmicks, revenue gimmicks that are in there, and no revenue tricks. Responsible government is a government that will also plan ahead for the worst. Our Office of Emergency and Management Director Albert Ashwood is leading a diverse coalition to review and rewrite our drought management program to help our farmers and our ranchers, our cities and our communities in the event of another hot and long dry summer. Responsible government should also pursue eliminating government waste. Significant waste reduction can be pursued through energy efficiency. So 2 years ago, I asked you to work with me, and we implemented our state's first ever comprehensive energy plan to plan both to support the energy sector, energy production in Oklahoma, while also laying a groundwork for energy efficiency initiatives in state government. As part of that plan, we passed legislation requiring a 20% reduction in energy among our state agencies by 2020. And I'm proud to report that we are on track to meet that goal and to achieve a savings of over $300 million for the state over the next 8 years. So thank you for working with me on that. Part of the energy plan, we are also working to convert our state automobile fleets from traditional gasoline-powered cars and trucks to compressed natural gas. Using CNG cars and trucks will save taxpayers millions of dollars in fuel costs. It'll support our energy jobs in Oklahoma, grow our state's revenue, and solidify Oklahoma's position as a national leader in CNG fueling stations per capita. Oklahoma is also leading a coalition of 22 other states to combine our purchasing power to help drive down the price of CNG cars and trucks by thousands of dollars. The cost savings with CNG are real and they're significant. CNG vehicles can save an average of $20,000 in fuel costs in their life cycle. Now, recently, Secretary of Energy Mike Meany sent me a little text, and he said, I took a road trip today from Tulsa to Wagner and back to Oklahoma City. He drove 228 miles for a cost of $5.32 in fuel in a dedicated CNG-powered Honda Civic. $5.32 for 228 miles. That's remarkable. Now imagine how much money we could save as a state when we convert and transform over to CNG vehicles, our cars and our trucks. We have a state fleet of over 11,000 vehicles. Imagine how much money we would save with CNG-powered automobiles and trucks. Oklahoma's energy plan is reducing fuel and energy costs in government fleets and facilities while reducing the tab for the taxpayers. And certainly we're delivering a more responsible government. But there are more efficiencies and savings to be realized by just some good old-fashioned bureaucracy busting. Now, Oklahoma has hundreds of advisory boards and commissions and agencies created by law over decades. Many are outdated and duplicative. They need to be reduced.
Amen.
Now, Ronald Reagan once said, no government ever voluntarily reduces itself. Government programs once launched never disappear. Well, I hope that President Reagan is looking down on this body today and smiling, because at least in this one instance, we're going to try to prove him wrong. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Dr. Terry Klein, has thoughtfully identified 40 advisory boards that can be consolidated for a total savings of $350,000. These consolidations can take place without interruption or a decline in services. This is our commitment to smaller, smarter, and more responsible government, and should be a model for other agencies to replicate. Agencies can also benefit from upgrades and consolidation of information technology resources. 2 years ago, I asked this body to work with me and our state's Chief Information Officer, Alex Pettit, to consolidate and to improve our IT services. As I said in my State of the State, state government can't continue to operate like an 8-track in an iPod world. So as of now, we have consolidated and improved IT resources in 50 agencies for a total savings of $84 million. It's work. Thank you, Secretary Pettit, and we'll be adding another 30 agencies to our list this year. We expect the potential savings to approach over $230 million over 7 years. Now, not only will these improvements save money, but they'll also make our state government more efficient, more effective, and more responsive to our customers, the Oklahoma taxpayers. Moving forward, I've asked Secretary Pettit to get me more money into the classrooms in our schools in Oklahoma by developing a new voluntary program for schools known as Open Range. This new program will be available to help schools begin their own IT consolidation efforts, improve their technology, and free up more dollars in the process. Responsible government means making better use of our physical assets as well as our digital ones. I've worked with agencies to develop a catalog of state buildings and assets. The report shows that Oklahoma owns almost 7,000 buildings and leases another 1,000. Many of those properties are underutilized or unproductive. And Speaker Shannon, I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with you as we continue to maximize our assets, sell those assets that are underperforming, and also to redirect resources of those assets to other important state needs. Thank you for your work on this. Now, one of those state needs that we must address and we must maintain is this beautiful Capitol building. The Capitol is the symbol of our state, a place of business, a living museum, dedicated to preserving Oklahoma's history, its literature, and its artwork. And it's not right for our visitors to come to the Capitol and see construction cones and barriers outside, to have crumbling facades from the top, and a faulty sewer system that stinks. And that is why I'm proposing $10 million to be allocated this year immediately to begin addressing the repair and to also chart a course forward towards total renovation at the Capitol. I'm glad somebody else doesn't like that smell in the basement, because I don't like it. Richard, you must like it. Just joking, buddy. Responsible government also means a transparent and accountable government. Measuring the performance of our state government is critical, and that's why we're launching a new website called OK State Stat, OK State Stat, and it will share data on our state outcomes and provide greater access to information about state agencies. Responsible government also means an ethical government. It's time to revamp and improve and modernize our Ethics Commission, and I'm very proud to be able to work with our new Executive Director, Lee Slater, to begin that process. I've allocated new money in my budget to help us meet those goals. And finally, responsible government is a compassionate government that offers adequate protection for its children. Oklahoma has a moral obligation to care for our children who have been abused and neglected and now find themselves in state custody. For years, the care of these children has been inadequate. Last year, we developed the DHS Pinnacle Plan, a multi-year blueprint to deliver better services and a safer environment for young Oklahomans. That plan is working. And last month, the Department of Human Services, under the new leadership of our new director, Ed Lake, announced that it is beginning to meet its goals. DHS has hired an additional 100 new child welfare workers and is placing all children under the age of 2 with safe and loving foster families. The agency is making progress and it's recruiting foster families, but they still need help. And I want to just say thank you to the men and women who have stepped forward to become foster parents, and I want to encourage more Oklahomans to step forward for this opportunity. To support the forward progress at DHS and ensure our children have the care they needed, I've included a funding increase of $50 million for that agency in my executive budget. Today about job creation and what we can do as lawmakers to support growth for a vibrant private sector and a strong economy. I've also talked about a responsible, smaller, smarter government. And what I'd like to talk to you next about is literally life and death itself, and a problem that continues to harm our state, and that is the continued poor health of the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma has made some progress in this area. We've moved from being 49th in the nation to being 43rd in the nation in health outcomes, but we got a long ways to go. Our current national health care system is, in fact, a sick care system that is actually contributing to our problems. Rather than encouraging healthy lifestyle and wellness, it waits to provide expensive treatment to people who are already sick and are driving up our health care costs. Now, while we will always hope for cures for illnesses, it would be far better to deliver a system that encourages people to live healthier lifestyles. President Obama's solution to is to dramatically expand this flawed sick care system. He wants to place another 200,000 Oklahomans and over 20 million Americans on a government entitlement program. Well, as you know, the state of Oklahoma has rejected the president's plan for several reasons. First of all, it's unaffordable for the state. According to a report from the Kaiser Commission on Medicaid and the Uninsured, the proposed expansion on Medicaid would result in an additional $689 million increase in Medicaid costs between the year 2013 and the year 2022. Expanding Medicaid as proposed by the president would mean that a huge sum of money would be diverted from other priorities like education, corrections, public safety, and other existing health care programs. Those costs are in addition to the 60,000 or more Medicaid-eligible Oklahomans we expect to enroll in the next few years to avoid the taxes and the fines imposed by the Affordable Health Care Act that is current law. Simply to meet the cost of those additional enrollees and to cover the rising costs of medical treatment and the fixed expenses, I have proposed an additional $40 million in increased funding to the Oklahoma Health Care Authority just to meet the current woodwork effect of our Medicaid eligibles that are currently eligible right now to be in Medicaid. The additional Medicaid expansion proposed by the president, if we were to expand it on further, would cost another $40 million on top of that, an expense that I think would be a very significant hardship upon the state of Oklahoma. In addition to being unaffordable for the state of Oklahoma, President Obama's plan is unaffordable for our nation at a time when we're already experiencing long-term spending crisis. The same Kaiser Commission report shows that Medicaid expansion would cost our nation another $800 million in cost. This comes at a time when it is universally acknowledged that Washington must make large cuts in its government spending. And finally, the president's Medicaid expansion offers no real reform to a flawed and inefficient system. Medical costs are rising at an unsustainable rate and taking larger chunks of both our state and our federal budgets. Healthcare funding should be tied to more flexible policies that will significantly improve our outcomes and our health while containing costs. Now, I will tell you that I do believe Oklahomans are compassionate people, and we understand there are individuals and there are families who need our help. Moving forward, my administration will continue to develop an Oklahoma plan that focuses on improving the health of our citizens, lowering the frequency of preventable illnesses like diabetes and heart disease, and improving access to quality and affordable health care. Any plan to improve the health of Oklahomans must address the state's #1 killer, and that is tobacco. The use of tobacco products costs Oklahomans more than $2 billion in health care costs and lost workforce productivity annually. Almost 6,000 Oklahomans die each year due to smoking-related illnesses. And that includes both of my parents. My father died from a smoking-related illness when he was younger than I am. This year, I'm supporting a proposal to restore local control to cities and to towns regarding tobacco use in public places. The implications for health will be enormous. The city of Pueblo, Colorado serves as a great example. When their citizens were given local control and allowed to implement a tobacco ban in local taverns and restaurants, they saw a dramatic reduction in smoking and smoking-related illnesses. In fact, the city's heart attack rate dropped 30%. Families living in our cities and our towns across Oklahoma deserve the same support. If a community wants to take action to improve the health of their citizens, let's let them do it. Our state will also continue to improve healthy living through initiatives like certified healthy schools, businesses, and communities, and programs which offer rewards for adopting health policies and practices to create a healthier Oklahoman. I like that one too. There are currently over 1,400 certified healthy businesses in our state. So I want to challenge each of our state agencies and our businesses to become a certified healthy business in the year 2013. We can do it. Improving our infant mortality rates will also remain a top priority, as it is reflected in my budget. We must provide better care for our children, both in the womb and at birth. We will continue to work towards more affordable and accessible health care and health insurance options. To that end, our state has engaged a national health care expert to work alongside our Oklahoma Health Care Authority, the Health Department, to determine how Oklahoma can best develop our own solution to meet the health care needs of our citizens. At the end of the day, however, the best way to improve the health of Oklahomans is to get fit. So a year ago, I announced plans to close the smoking room in the Capitol. And to create a Capitol Fitness Center for those who work here in the Capitol. Well, that center is open today for tours, and I invite all of you to go see it, and more importantly, I invite all of you to go use it. It's an important opportunity for lawmakers and our citizens that work here in the Capitol to take the lead and show an example. Of course, when we talk about health, we can't forget to remember mental health as well. The recent tragedy at Sandy Hook was an unwelcome reminder of what can happen when mental health needs go unmet or go ignored. So this year, I'm proposing a $16 million increase to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse for a variety of programs, such as the Systems of Care Initiative to assist children and families of children with emotional disturbances. By getting these children and their families at an early age, we can help them live happy and healthier lives rather than pursue a path that can lead to self-destruction, crime, or worse. Funding in my budget will also further expand our crisis centers and the programs, allowing us to create an additional facility in addition to the 2 that we created last year and funded last year for those who need immediate help when they have psychiatric emergencies. And for the first time ever, I'm proposing in my budget that we allocate new funds for suicide prevention. Oklahoma has one of the highest suicide rates in the nation, and it is especially prevalent among our military veterans. Today, we received some very tragic news of a teenager who killed himself in Coweta at their intermediate high school, and I just want to say that my prayers and my thoughts certainly go out to him and his family and the students in the school itself, and I hope that you'll remember him today. New resources will help reduce these tragedies and help those who are suffering from mental health illnesses, whatever their age, and we're going to get them the help they need. And finally, we're going to get serious about prescription drug abuse in Oklahoma. We have spent years successfully combating and reducing meth labs and the use of methamphetamines in Oklahoma, but studies show that prescription drug abuse actually poses a greater danger to our citizens. Currently, 81% of drug-related deaths in Oklahoma are caused by prescription drugs. One survey shows that nearly 8% of Oklahomans are abusing prescription drug painkillers. That's twice the national average, and we're better than that. With us today are several individuals who have known firsthand about the kind of tragedy caused by prescription drug abuse and are now working to help the state of Oklahoma raise that awareness level. In 2011, OU linebacker Austin Box tragically died as a result of prescription drug abuse. And today we are joined by his family, Craig, Gail, and Whitney, who are here today to help us raise awareness of the tragedy of prescription drug abuse. To the Box family, we thank you for your courage today and being here with us, and we'll continue our prayers for your healing. We know that your story is not an anomaly. We know there are other Oklahoma families who suffer too. So as a state, it's time to offer the resources that prevent drug abuse from occurring in the first place. We're going to work to prevent the kind of tragedies that have happened to the Austin family and ensure that there are life-changing treatments available to those who are struggling with addiction issues. And so to that end, I've allocated new funding to help Commissioner Terry White as she works to strengthen prescription drug abuse prevention and treatment initiatives. Now, all this is part of the Oklahoma plan to help our citizens get healthier and to get happier, to improve an already great quality of life in the state of Oklahoma. Now, as Oklahomans, we have so much to be proud of. We've already accomplished so much together. In recent years, we've improved Oklahoma's economy. We've closed budget gaps without raising taxes. In fact, we even cut our income tax and closed the budget gap. And those cuts and other pro-growth policies have created new jobs in our state and in turn helped our revenues grow in Oklahoma. And now we have a healthy savings account of over $600 million. And we've eliminated tens of millions of dollars in government waste and consolidated and eliminated agency boards and commissions that we no longer need. But we can do more. And so I've outlined a vision for all of us to work together, to share in this vision so that we can move Oklahoma forward and continue to strengthen our great state. Working together for the betterment of our citizens, I know we can create a more prosperous and successful Oklahoma. And the state of the state will be even stronger next time we meet. God bless you, and thank you for all that you do for the state of Oklahoma.
Governor Mary Fallin on the state of the state for the year 2013, recapping just a little bit, she says our job is to keep the, quote, pedal